The next item, number 7, new business number 7, consideration of a public hearing and a resolution to apply, accept, and award a grant with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission regarding the Depot Park. I do think Ms. McGuire is here, and the information that I've forwarded around to everybody to sign has to do with this particular item. At this point in time, I would like to go ahead and open the time for public hearing in regard to this action that will be taken. So the item regarding Depot Park is open, and anybody who would like to offer comment regarding the grant for this particular action may come forward and make a statement.
Mayor, I have brought some drawings that I'm more than willing to set up if you all would like to be able to look at those, or if the public would like to look at those.
Council, would you all like to see specific rendering of what is proposed with this?
Had we seen those?
Are those the ones that were at the agenda meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody need another view? Okay.
I just thought they'd be nice in case the public wanted to see them, but
Yeah.
it's at your pleasure.
They will be, go ahead and set them up on the easel or on the back seats back there for public viewing. Anybody want to make any comments in regard to this particular item? Ms. McGuire, I thought you might want to make a comment in regard to it. Maybe you do not.
It'll be a first anyway.
Better than to ask. Thank you, Mayor. You all will be pleased to know that this is an outgrowth of the downtown master plan that you all authorized our organization to develop, that we wrapped up in 2012. In today's mail, I got official notification from West Central Planning and Development District. We've just been awarded $50,000 to do the working documents for this development project. So this is moving forward, step in the right direction. This will be the first time that we've applied for this innovative projects grant option. So we've got our fingers crossed, but we need your blessing before we can actually apply for the grant.
Thank you, ma'am. Just as a matter of reference, there were 2 legals run in regard to this and announcing the public hearing for this meeting tonight. So, do I hear anything else?
Motion to, or
Is this
I'm
time for us to talk?
I'm going to close the meeting if there's no other comments to be made. Hearing none, the public hearing on this issue is closed, and now we're open for action on the resolution by the commission, by the council.
motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just so everybody knows, how much is this project going to cost the city over and above the grants?
I'd like Ms. McGuire to address that.
This current grant does not require a cash match from the city. Obviously, the money that we're looking at from this round of funding will not cover the entire development, but it's like so many things. You start looking at all your options and where you might find funding, and you start layering in all those options, and this is the beginning of that process. But this grant does not require any cash match from the community, or from the city, I should say.
Estimate for this project's about $418,000. Is that?
The projected
right?
estimate right now is $415,000, I believe.
And the funding on that, do you know how that's proposed to be?
We're going to raise it, baby. We're going to raise it like we did on the Depot project.
But what we're doing here is just for the design of it and proceed with the first step. We're not on the hook for any money by doing this.
Well, first you got to get the grant before you even have that
Yeah.
option.
Right.
This
the-
is,
We're not
this
on
is,
the hook.
The
this is just to allow the grant to go
Yes,
forward
this- yes.
and meet all the steps that have to be
Yes.
conducted because of where the money comes from for this. And we got to dot the i's and cross the t's.
And Mr. Tripp, to answer your question directly, that $50,000 that we got from West Central Planning Development is for our working document. And so what we're applying for now is for the start to acquire the additional funds that we're projected or estimated to need to develop this.
So at this point, there is no cost to the city?
Exactly.
Okay, if you get the 200,000 and you really need 400,000, is the city obligated, is there a time frame for you to use that grant?
You know, I honestly don't know the answer to that.
You don't?
I really don't know the answer to that.
My concern is that the way I've heard it is that if you get the $200,000, that the other 200 plus is going to come from economic development funds. And the way that projects out, that money would not be available until November of 2015. I don't want to see you get caught in a deal where you've got a time frame that you've got to pay for it and us not have the money.
That's true. That's a good point. It's like so many things that we've done in the past. You know, we haven't taken on things that we didn't think that we could actually follow through with. And I don't say that to make an excuse, but that's the reality of it. But we're well prepared. We've seen the need for this. As I said, it was one of the recommendations and outgrowth from the master plan. We really believe in this project and are willing to do what we need to do to see it carried forward and see it come to completion. It's just, you all are just authorizing us the opportunity to apply for the grant dollars.
I would assume this, and assumptions are sometimes not a good thing, but if there was a caveat that said that the money would have to be raised or whatever within a particular period of time that could not be met, that the grant could be go ahead and denied or not be accepted, if that was going to obligate Main Street for more than they would be able to.
You know, in the past, what we found too is when you are, facing issues like that, sometimes you phase your project out. You complete the portion of your grant that you have the money to fund, and you're able to do that. It's a very similar process that we took with the depot project. I think that's a very real possibility.
I myself am an optimist. So really the only real concern here is looking at ED money, November 2015, is whether or not this grant, if awarded, has some definite time period about when it can be spent. If it doesn't, then we don't really have an issue, do we?
No.
Mr. Irwin, if I may.
So, I mean, if you could determine whether or not there's some time specs on the grant, then, what's the problem with it?
I'll be honest with you, gentlemen, and Ms. Harris. If there's a time frame on that, I do know too from past experience with many large grants like this, you have options for extending those time frames as well, especially when they see that your project is moving forward. I'll be honest, you all are asking me some questions that there might be some variables there.
Do you know when if the grant was awarded, do you know when the funding would take place? Mr. Horton made the point that it might not be till, what, Randy, November of
2015 as
So
projected now.
So when would the grant fund, do you know? If you got awarded the grant, do you know when it would fund?
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what the time frame would be between funding of the grant and then the availability of funds.
Mr. Irwin?
Don't know the answer to that right off my head.
There's a
Mayor.
time frame for filing, though, on this one, right?
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
we have till the end of this month. March 31st is our deadline for application.
Mayor, I would like to point out, and I think it was Mr. Martin Irwin's point back in either December or January, when we passed our 7-year projected allocation of the sales tax funds, I think Mr. Martin Irwin pointed out that at any time we could go back and vote to reallocate how those funds are distributed. And so I don't think that's an issue at this point in time.
Well, it may not
Because
be,
it
but
can
I'm
be
saying
raised-
just
we-
based,
by a resolution, by a vote
I
of this
agree.
council, we can
But-
change how those funds are distributed
well,
and when they're distributed.
I agree, but based solely on the current plan, Mr. Horton points out that it's November 15. And so, and if there's not a timeframe on spending the money, then there's really not probably an issue waiting until November 15 when those funds are available to begin to spend it. So
But if there is an issue, we do
there is
have
an
a
issue.
mechanism.
In the meantime, if it's awarded, we can,
We can
Main
work
Street
toward
can-
that end.
That's
We can work toward that end.
right.
That's correct.
But there are things that can be done besides just hooking the city up, which I don't think's all that bad idea either.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The big concern is that we meet the deadline to get the application in,
Yes.
and that's where we are with this. Any other discussion? Did we have a motion?
Yes.
And a second, okay. Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.